They're all interbreeding. Okay, guess what that proves? They probably came from the original kind. A horse. There's a bunch of zebroids running around. In the Kentucky Derby in the last 100 years, they've gone from an average winning speed of 127 seconds down to 123 seconds. Now, back in the early days, they got some low times turned in back then, too. But let me ask you a question. How much money would you guess has been spent on the Kentucky Derby trying to breed faster horses? Millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? Now, I don't know if they've reached the absolute limit or not. I don't know. But I suspect they're getting kind of close. And the point is, they're still horses, and there seems to be a stone wall here. You can't go faster. If you really want to win the Kentucky Derby, why don't you breed wings on your horse and fly around the track in 12 seconds? All I'm trying to point out is, variations certainly happen, but they're limited, and the evolutionist does not want to confess or admit there are limits. He wants to imagine that it can go on forever indefinitely. Well, you just go ahead and imagine all you want, but keep your religion out of the school system. There's a variety of cows, no question. They probably had a common ancestor. It was a cow. There's a bunch of chickens. What kind of chicken you want? You want to get cherry eggers, brown leghorns, golden comets? This magazine that sells chicken says, boys and girls, jungle fowl are the original bird from which all varieties and strains of domesticated chickens are derived. You know, all the chickens had a common ancestor. Guess what it was? Chicken. Yeah, that's the point. Textbooks will tell the kids that the peppered moth is evidence for evolution. They counted the moths on the trees. They said it was 95% light moths and 5% black. Then, so the story goes, they burned coal in the factories and the trees turned black. And they counted the moths again, renewed their government grant, and found out it's now 5% light and 95% black. The truth of the matter is the whole story is a phony. It didn't happen, okay? The guy glued dead moths on the trees to take that picture for your textbook, okay? After 40 years of watching, they found 2 moths on the trees. 2. What's 95% of 2? But they still keep teaching this in the books, even though it's been proven wrong years ago. Tulsa Zoo, a couple of months ago I was there, still has this up as a display. Come on, take that down and tear that page out of your book. That's not evidence for evolution. You want more on the peppered moth, get the website iconsofevolution.com. There's a bunch on there about this topic. Textbooks will tell you kids, you've got a vestigial organ called the appendix. You don't need it anymore. Well, that's simply a lie. You do need your appendix, okay? It is not vestigial. There are no vestigial organs. Your appendix is part of your immune system. Now, if you take out your appendix, it's true you can still live, okay? But you will have a higher susceptibility for quite a few diseases. Did you know you can live without both your legs and both your eyes and both your arms? That doesn't prove you don't need them. The fact that you can live without something does not prove it is vestigial, and that certainly is not evidence for evolution. Think about it. This textbook says the snake has vestigial reduced hind legs. Oh, they're lying to you. Those little claws right there are used in mating so they can maneuver each other into position. They don't have any arms, This textbook says many organisms retain traces of their evolutionary history. For example, the whale retains pelvic and leg bones as useless vestiges. Whales have a vestigial pelvis and leg bone that serve no purpose. They have hind limb bones that have no function. This is in textbooks all across the world. Just imagine whales walking around is true. What are they talking about? They're talking about those bones right there. Just imagine the whale walking around. I can't imagine. It says the whale's pelvis has no apparent function. The whale's pelvis is evidence of its evolution from four-legged land-dwelling mammals. This is simply a lie, okay? Those bones are necessary, there are muscles attached to those specialized bones to allow the whales to reproduce. It has nothing to do with walking on land. It has to do with getting more baby whales. So the guys that are writing this in their textbooks are either extremely ignorant about whale anatomy, and they should not be writing a book about it, and certainly shouldn't be teaching about it. Or they're lying to you, trying to give you evidence for their theory. That's not evidence for the theory. Those are not vestigial pelvises. Any more than your kneecap, since it's not attached to other bones, is vestigial. Okay, or the hyoid bone, it's not attached either, but it's not vestigial. These bones are anchor points that muscles attach to for reproduction. This textbook says humans have a tailbone that is of no apparent use. Its vestigial structures is viewed as evidence for evolution. Oh, the tailbone is not vestigial. I was in a debate in Alabama with the president of the North Alabama Atheist Association. He got up in front of God and everybody and said, folks, we got proof for evolution. Humans have a tailbone they no longer need. I said, Mr. Patterson, I taught biology and anatomy. I happen to know there are 9 little muscles that attach to the tailbone, without which you cannot perform some valuable functions. won't tell you what they all are, but trust me, you need those muscles. I said, now, if you think the tailbone is vestigial, I will pay to have yours removed. Bend over. It's not a vestigial tailbone, okay? And by the way, kids, if any biology professor or any anatomy professor ever tells you the tailbone is vestigial, my offer is still good. I will pay to have theirs removed. Tell them, put up or shut up. It is not vestigial, okay? This textbook says the coccyx at the end of the human vertebral column is no apparent function and is thought to be the remainder of bones that once occupied the long tail of a tree-living ancestor. They told me when I was a kid, man used to have a tail, but he lost it because we didn't need it. I thought, didn't need it. Have you ever thought how handy a tail would be? Have you ever come to the door with 2 sacks of groceries? And you could open that thing up and walk right in there, you know. It's not vestigial. That's a lie. And a lot of functions for those tailbones, all right? There are no vestigial structures, and if there were, that would be the opposite of evolution. We could talk for hours, and we're going to quit here in a few minutes, but all the evidence that they're using, like Lucy, Australopithecines, you know, as evidence for evolution. First place, it's a fossil. It doesn't count for anything. You don't know Lucy had any kids. Okay? Secondly, Lucy, all those that studied Lucy said it's just a vestigial, it's just an unusual monkey. It could walk upright, possibly, we don't know for sure. It had an angled femur. Any monkey that climbs trees has an angled femur. Okay? We'd cover that a lot more on that, or in the book Bones of Contention, there's a lot about Lucy and other so-called missing links. They give, in the National Geographic here, gives human feet to all of the hominid examples here. This is pure propaganda, okay? The feet are extremely different in these creatures. And there's no connection between one evolving to another and no evidence that one ever did. And again, you're dealing with fossils. They don't count. Think about it. In a court of law, they would laugh at you. Australopithecines, no fossils for evidence, no fossils are going to count for evidence for evolution. The horse evolution theories is taught in textbooks, yet it's been proven wrong 50 years ago. The gradual evolution of the modern horse has not held up to close examination. Back in 1950, J.G. Simpson, who believed in evolution and loved the theory and taught it, said the evolution of the horse family was unintentionally falsified. The early classical evolutionary tree of the horse was all wrong. It never happened in nature. This has been proven wrong 50 years ago, but they're still teaching it in your textbooks. The evolution of the horse. Up here at Yale University, they still got a big display of the horse, how it evolved from Eohippus to Equus. Pure propaganda. Didn't happen in nature. Darwin considered the idea that the human embryo has gills and he slowly evolved from a fish-like creature to a human. He considered that the best single class of facts in favor of his theory. He called it the biogenetic law. This Irish textbook says, it's talking about the gills here, the gill slits, show that these animals have evolved from fish and share the basic pattern of fish development. This one says humans have gills like a fish when they're embryonic stage. This is a lie. Those are not gill slits. Those little folds of skin later develop into bones in the ear and glands in the throat. They never have anything to do with breathing. I've seen folks that have 5 or 6 chins and they can't breathe through any of them but the top one. Okay? They're not gill slits. Haeckel actually lied. He faked the pictures of a human and dog embryo. He made them look just alike. Haeckel was a liar. He made giant charts of his pictures showing that these embryos of all these different animals have gill slits. This is a lie. On top are Haeckel's drawings. Underneath are the photographs of the actual creatures. Either he's a lousy artist or he's a liar, okay? Haeckel actually confessed to lying in court at University of Jena, but his textbooks are the textbooks today. I guarantee this university has a biology or anatomy textbook that teaches that the embryo has gill slits, and that's evidence for evolution. That's been proven wrong 127 years ago. Get it out of the book. If you have evidence for evolution, then stop lying. Then show it to me, but quit lying to the kids and tell them you do. I want you to listen carefully tonight. If any evidence for evolution is presented, as if it is scientific, I suspect you're going to hear things like vestigial structures. You're going to hear things like embryology. That's the code word for what they're talking about here. This has all been proven wrong a long time ago. So don't buy that stuff. It's been in the textbooks for far too long. Kenneth Miller still teaching it after 125 years of knowing it's been proven wrong. I've got all kinds of stuff. We've got to quit here. Okay, I just don't want to see kids lied to. I think there is no evidence to support the idea that any animal produced a different kind of animal. Now, if you want to believe it happened, you enjoy yourself. You believe whatever you want. But don't call it science. And don't make all the taxpayers pay to teach it to the kids in public schools. Those who believe in evolution should admit it is a religion, and they should start private schools all over America, and let those who want to pay and learn it come pay and learn it. They got no business making all of us taxpayers pay for this silly religion to be taught in the school system. Thank you so much.